Hey, TGIK, how's it going? Happy Friday. Happy Friday from kind of cold Colorado today. I don't know if any of you out west are also feeling some of this cold weather, but it's like 10 degrees in the mountains. We got some snow. Seasons are changing out here, so it's exciting times. All right, who do we got joining us today? Flash, how you doing, Flash? Swarna from Hashicorp, thanks for joining us, Swarna. You can help us out if we say anything silly today. We really appreciate you jumping on so short notice. What's up, Maddie? What's up, Martin? Great to see you too, as always. Olav, Noel, Eric. Hey, Eric. Hope you're doing well. Chaco, nice to see you as always. Haim, great to see you tuning in from Israel. I'm glad people make this time slot work. I know it's kind of a weird and tough one. We got Jose coming in from Panama. Hey, Jose. We've got Riv from Boston. Hey, Riv. All right. Hey, Rich. Glad you can make it. Thanks so much for joining. Rodolfo from Texas. Bojanche. Hello. Hello. Hey, Noel. And we've got Craig from the Midwest. What's going on, Craig? I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, so I'm a Midwestern person too. I don't live there now, but I used to live in the Midwest at least. Pavel from Bulgaria. We got Joshua. Hey, Josh. Got Cody from Hashicorp too. Thanks for joining us, Cody. We appreciate you being here. Ilko. Hello, hello. Peruzan, Rada from Scottsdale. We got Preethi from Bellevue. Wow, we got folks from all over today. Richard from Austin. Sevi, thanks for joining us, Sevi. Awesome, awesome. All right. Marcin from Poland. Great to see you. Thanks so much for joining. Aristides, thank you for joining as well. Hey, Borko. Great to see you. Yatin from Virginia. All right, so we got a good crew so far. Thanks so much for joining us. If this is your first time on TGIK, I see a bunch of regulars, but maybe some folks first time. TGIK is a weekly episode that we do on Fridays at 1 p.m. Pacific time. The YouTube time is oftentimes configured wrong because of time zones, so hopefully that didn't confuse any of you. Nonetheless, today's episode is on Waypoint. It's our 137th episode, by the way. And we're going to be digging into this cool new tool from Hashicorp that's getting a lot of buzz. And, in true TGIK fashion, we figured, why not just learn it on a stream with y'all so we can kind of all learn something. So this will be a really cool one. Now, TGIK, along with jumping into a piece of tech, as many of you know, we like to start the week off by covering a little bit around what's going on in the cloud native ecosystem. So we'll go ahead and start there and talk a bit about what's going on in the Kubernetes space. All right. Who else we got joining? Joe Thompson. Hey, Joe. Funny story about Joe. He and I worked together at CoreOS a long time ago. It feels like it's been a long time ago at this point. So it's so great to see you, Joe. We don't cross paths often enough, especially now that that KubeCon's not really a thing anymore. At least, the in-person KubeCon's not really a thing. Cool. So week in review, what do we got going on? Kubernetes 1.20 Alpha 3 is out. You should check it out. If you're contributing to the code base, do note that November 12th is an upcoming code freeze. And if you don't already have it bookmarked and you're involved in release stuff or just want to know, I guess really just what's going on release-wise, you should bookmark this page. It's very conveniently k8s.dev/release. Gives you some great information. It's probably something I should be visiting a little bit more and checking out like the enhancements and all that good stuff, but it's very cleanly laid out. I think it does a really good job of succinctly articulating what's going on. So we're driving towards 120, getting closer and closer. Check out the alpha if you haven't already. And that's kind of all we got. Oh yeah, speaking of CoreOS, I should have mentioned I'm wearing my Rocket shirt today because I think somebody last week said they had a Rocket shirt or something. I can't remember what we were talking about, but I'm wearing my Rocket shirt as well and representing. So, all right. Cool. So, Noel, you said CoreOS was the first VM, cloud VM you spun up and you didn't understand a thing at first. Well, that's an interesting entry point for your first cloud VM, especially given like all the opinions and all of the kind of focus for running containers that the CoreOS distro had in it. That's pretty cool. Tim, you've only got a Rocket sticker. Yeah. Maybe we can reproduce these someday as like a retro shirt. That'd be kind of cool. All right, so what do we got going on in the ecosystem this week? Anyone here use FZF? Fuzzy, is that how you say it? I use it in Vim. I forget to use it in Bash all the time, but it's a really cool tool. does fuzzy searches of things, and it like plugs into freaking everything. Like you can have it in Vim, open up a buffer in Vim, you're searching through code, it's super fast, it's super rad. It can do your bash history if you're a Control R and do the whole reverse search thing. And then Brad Barrows, hopefully I'm saying your name right, Brad, has a new post about aliases and functions using FCF for Kubernetes. And what's really cool about it, I have not tried it, but I think this is how it's working, is when he runs the command, he's actually like scrolling through or fuzzy searching through pods, and then the described data is coming up in a buffer to the side. So that is pretty freaking cool. It looks like it's a bunch of bash, but I guess it's kind of cool. Like, you know, just some bash aliases, not another binary you need to install or anything like that. So this will be definitely on my radar. In true form for myself, though, I'll probably put all these bash scripts in place and have all these cool conveniences and then forget to use them because my muscle memory always takes over. But if you use FCF Fuzzy, I'm just going to call it Fuzzy, check this out. Looks really cool. I think it's pretty sweet. All right, cool. Alex, you're joining us from gorgeous Northern California. Thanks for joining us, Alex. Welcome, welcome. All right, cool. So what else do we got going on in the ecosystem? Learn Kates. I don't know if y'all follow this site. They've got a lot of really great educational information on Kubernetes. I think they might even do some consulting. Excuse me if I'm totally off on that. Nonetheless, they put together a Google Doc that does a side-by-side comparison of ingress controllers. Pretty cool. Since our world today is filled with many options for ingress, kind of cool. They went by protocols, by clients, by traffic routing capabilities, all that good stuff. And you can just kind of scroll horizontally here and see what Nginx offers, Kong, traffic, HA proxy, Istio's gateway, Contour, on and on and on. Pretty cool. I feel like we need one of these for pretty much every piece of technology in Kubernetes. I think we need a service mesh one. We need an ingress controller one. We need a CNI one. And I know some of that stuff's out there in blogs and stuff, but this is really cool. I think it's laid out really interesting. So if you haven't checked this out, check it out. See what's going on with ingress controllers. Maybe it'll give you an idea of a new one to try out that you have yet to play around with. So pretty cool stuff. Thanks, Learn Kates, for putting that good info out and all the awesome info that y'all put together. I think they have like a, I can't remember if they called it like a production ready checklist or it was something like that. And it was just like kind of an interactive checklist you could go through about how to harden your clusters for more realistic use cases. Or not realistic use cases, I should say production use cases. So they put out some good content, and this is just another one of those awesome things. All right, good deal. So Skim looks awesome. What is Skim? Let me check Skim out real quick. Is Skim another search thing? What's going on here? Skim, let's see. Half of our life is spent on navigation. It's probably not incorrect. I'll have to check this out. A single executable SK. Cool. So is Skim a FZF replacement written in Rust? Is that kind of the deal? Interesting stuff. All right, cool. So ops PSAs, things that we should probably be aware of. You've heard this from us quite a bit at this point, but if you're using Helm v2, don't do that. Consider upgrading Helm. I think there's lots and lots of good resources going out right now. I've been seeing a bunch of folks from the Helm team and stuff give a lot of good info. So Helm repo in v2 end of support. This not only could impact where you're pulling Helm charts from and all that good stuff, but also is the end of life for v2. So like important security patches and all that stuff. Like it's time to get rid of Tiller and move on to the lovely, lovely world of Helm v3 and all the cool stuff it can offer. So make sure this is on your radar, folks. If you're at all still in the world of using Helm for deployments, just make sure you're got an upgrade plan here. You're aware of the deprecations and you don't wake up one morning and go, why is everything broken? Or even worse, a CVE comes out and you say, oh my gosh, we can't patch this. We now are forced for Helm v3. And as Eric put it, I think beautifully, friends don't let friends use Helm v2. So let's get our friends on Helm v3. How's that sound? All right, cool. All right. And Waleed, you said you added Learn Kate's Telegram channel to notes. Thanks so much, Waleed. So check those out. right at the bottom here, and we'll give that a click too in a second here. All right, so I almost missed one. Docker Hub, folks who use Docker Hub for images, just be aware that some of the TOS is changing. This post talks about it. So if you currently pull from Docker Hub, and it's not just you playing around, do check out the blog. This bulleted list, I think, pretty succinctly puts it. There's implications around the amount of pools for anonymous users and authenticated users in your free plans. Pro and team plans are not a problem. And then tell me if I'm forgetting here, everyone, but there's also some implications on like duration an image lives in Docker Hub now if it's not accessed. Is that correct? Someone correct me if I'm wrong there, but be advised how Docker Hub's approach for kind of the free plans go is changing a little bit. Pro plan, team plan, all those things, just be advised of that. And again, one of those things, don't wake up in the morning and wonder why your CI jobs that pull a bunch of stuff are suddenly just exploding. Keep an eye on it and make sure you're either paying Docker or paying Docker Hub, whoever owns it now, Mirantis, right? And or you have an alternative registry if you're not going to continue with Docker Hub. So is it 6 months, Savvy? Does that sound about right? Possibly so. All right. So, Waleed, you said images get deleted if they are not accessed over a certain duration. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So like, you probably could work around this. I'm sure there's already been some clever folks who have written like, a thing that pulls the image every now and then. But, maybe just consider not if it's not just for fun, maybe consider doing something that's not that big of a hack, because you'd hate for that to fall over and stuff to blow up on you. Okay, so that's Docker Hub, that's Helm v2. Be sure to go up to v3 on Helm. Cube Academy, the Ask Me Anything with Joe Beta. I think you all know Joe Beta very well. He's the common host on TGIK and has bootstrapped a lot of this good stuff. He didn't ask me anything on Cube Academy, and there's a recording available. So if you want to check that out on Cube Academy, click the link in the notes, go to the Ask Me Anything, and you can watch the webinar. Good stuff. All right. And Alex says, what? The stuff won't be around for centuries. That's a good question, Alex. I think the answer is we're going to put it inside of a frozen igloo thingy inside of the Arctic, just like GitHub did for their for their Arctic code storage, right? We need a Docker Hub Arctic code storage. Could you imagine the junk of layers that would be in that freaking thing? I think archaeologists would just be like, what were these people thinking? Holy crap. Anyways, other stuff that we've got going on. Hands-on CKA, CKAD with a CKS flavor. So I haven't actually seen this one. This must have been a later edition. Oh, Waleed, sweet. Hey. So you should check this out. It looks like it's something that's going over CKA, CKAD. For some reason, okay, CKS, is that the security certification? I'm sorry that I'm blanking on that. For some reason, CKS isn't resonating, but I'm guessing that's the Certified Kubernetes Security Exam. Sound right? Check this thing out regardless. Waleed rocks. You should check it out. It's probably going to be great. Security specialist. Good deal. So yeah, give it a view. And awesome, Waleed. I'm glad to see that you're throwing some content out there like this. This will be hot stuff, especially with people looking to CKS. Awesome. Good. And as Chaco says, leet. I totally agree. Very, very leet of you. All right. Okay, cool. And there's a GitHub repo as well. So do note we have both of these linked. GitHub repo, the live stream is up there as well. Check those out. Put them on your calendar. All right. So a couple more items for this week. We've got kubectl aliases. So I have also not looked at this one. This was probably a recent addition, but this looks like it is, okay. Some example aliases that make kubectl more convenient. I feel like you all are calling me out here because, as you know, I type out every command like very verbosely and am very anti-alias. So you're probably just like, Josh, just make a freaking alias already. We are so sick of watching you type kubectl. And I feel your pain. The problem is I make the alias and then I forget to use the alias. But yeah, this is really cool. 800 so generated aliases. Check these out. It looks like it must be something that actually auto-gens them perhaps. So bringing some things together, I'm trying to parse like K sys G po. So Kubernetes, I see. Okay. Kubernetes, kube system namespace, get for G, and then pod. That's kind of cool. So it's just kind of like a convention-based thing where it's actually kind of bringing up your aliases automatically, which is, yeah, I can kind of get behind that. Man, 800 aliases, though, kind of scares me. I don't know if I can handle it quite yet. All right. Cool. Hey, Fully Geared Bear, glad to have you, as always. Rex, you're on the team anti-alias. Yeah, I know that they would save me time. I just cannot bite the bullet for some reason. All right, cool. Joe says alias K equals kubectl. At this point, he refused. Yeah, I hear you. We're sticking with the kubectl, the full command. All right, last thing we've got here that I think Waleed added in, Telegram learn Kates. So I have not used or looked at Telegram yet. I'm guessing we haven't done, what even is Telegram? I have no idea. Wait, did I say learn Kates? What am I thinking? Wait, learn Kates, apply Telegram. Okay, what's going on with Telegram? Someone's gonna have to give me a quick overview of what the heck's going on. Is this an app that the Learn Kates group has built? It's an iPhone app. It's running on Cube, I assume. I'm just trying to figure out what's the tie between Learn Kates and Telegram. I'm under a rock with this one. Okay. It's an app like WhatsApp and Signal. I see. Okay. It's a chat group. Got it. All right. Connect the dots for me though. What's the relevance to Learn Kates? Are they the ones who made this thing? Is that, I see. Sorry. Sometimes it takes me a little while, people. Okay. It's a group on Telegram around Learn Kates. I see. Okay. Totally grok what you're saying now. Sorry. I just had to connect the dots. No big deal. Yeah. Zavin says the world needs more chat platforms. Yeah, you're not wrong. And the funny thing is we've got so many chat platforms and the majority of the world's probably using unencrypted SMS, right? Oh man. Okay. And devs get to work. Cool. All right. So those are our notes for the week. I think we're about ready to get into Waypoint. Some pretty interesting stuff. It's a little bit of a light week, but hey, it's got some cool stuff going on. So let's talk about Waypoint. All right. People in the chat. I guess maybe the Hashicorp people are a little bit exempt from this question, but you're welcome to respond anyways. I think I know the answer. Who has played with Waypoint? Has anyone gotten the chance to play with it? Say yes in chat if yes. And if you haven't played with Waypoint yet, say no. I'm super curious. I feel like it got announced recently. It's been on our radar to check out. We just haven't gotten the opportunity. Has anyone gotten to check it out in chat yet? Okay, yes. Cool, no. Well, hey, I appreciate the no's. It just means you were waiting for TGIK to check it out. Cool. Yeah, I agree, Wally. It seems like a super, super interesting concept. And I think we should, as usual, kind of, yeah, Cody, you're obliged to say yes. Yeah, you wouldn't want to go on record saying no there. So this is a super interesting space. And I'm pretty passionate about this space and feel really, really intrigued by Waypoint because here's kind of the thing in my eyes, right? Let's open up a Miro, and this way we can have some diagramming as we go and learn a bit about how this tool works, right? So like here's how I kind of view the world today, right? So we, right, the TGIK community, the Kubernetes community, and all that good stuff, right? We, is there not a there we go. That's what I'm looking for. We love. There's a Kubernetes logo. How cool. We freaking love Kubernetes, right? I mean, I think there's no question. Most of the people in this chat, assuming it hasn't fallen over for us and we're losing our weekend because we're trying to debug our clusters, I think generally we really, really like Kubernetes or else we wouldn't all be here. And I think what's really interesting about that, and I see this a lot when I'm helping folks kind of drive towards production with Kubernetes, is while we might think it's the best thing since sliced bread, there's some merit to the fact that a lot of our downstream consumers, clients, if you will, might not really love Kubernetes the same way we do. They probably don't hate Kubernetes, right? But their priority is a lot more about shipping software effectively. And the means that kind of gets them to that point, that efficiency, is really the crux that they're concerned about. So when we go to them and we're like, oh my gosh, look at all this cool stuff you can do with a YAML file, and there's this reconciliator and this really cool scheduler, they might be like, yeah, like that's cool, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's at the same level that like we think all these internals and all these bits are just super, super awesome, right? So, and I'm not trying to say Kube isn't awesome, I'm just saying we have different sets of concerns, and a lot of us in the Kubernetes space, what we're really trying to do, right? We're not just like inheriting Kubernetes for the sake of inheriting Kubernetes, although maybe if we're doing like some resume-driven development, that's our intention. But more so, we view Kubernetes as kind of a larger piece of the puzzle. We view it as something that if we bring Kubernetes down and we think a little bit about some of our underlying pieces, like back in the day, we used to always talk, and I guess we still do talk about the idea of an IaaS provider, right? So this could be, and this is not just a cloud provider, right? This could be Amazon, but it also could be your on-prem KVM stack, you know, whatever you're using, right? And we kind of thought of this as like, all right, so let's abstract this thing. Now, again, Kubernetes itself, like at its core, what does it do? Like when you think about Kubernetes at its core, what are the main things it solves for? In my eyes, right, I think of Kubernetes as a thing that moves containers around hosts. And don't hate me for oversimplifying that. Like it definitely has like some interesting primitives for the service abstraction, and kube proxy is technically part of the core. So technically it does some weird mangling of IP tables and stuff to give you some other abstractions. It gives you a really robust declarative API, a controller and reconciliation model. But you know, the end result of those pieces put together is a container orchestrator, right? So when we take that a step further, oftentimes what we're kind of thinking about is this notion of, all right, when I have customers, what the heck do they actually care about? And how do I provide the things they need so that a developer isn't just being talked into learning Kubernetes, but they're actually gaining value? So a lot of times we throw these abstractions on top, right? And these could be all kinds of things. Like, I mean, since we're in Hashicorp land, let's talk about Vault real quick. One of those really common, really freaking cool things is Vault. Rather than having application developers go in and solve their secret management component 30 times over in every single app with 90 different services, we can put Vault in Kubernetes. We can integrate it with the injection sidecar mechanism that Vault offers, or if someday it stabilizes, the CSI driver that can go out to Vault and grab secrets. And in short, at the end of the day, for an app, they can just go in and say, give me the secret, and boom, in their file system, they've got their secret. That's an amazing platform service that, again, provides value. And then it just continues going up, and we have like, our load balancers through ingress controllers. We've got our, observability stack. So maybe we give out like self-service Prometheus and all that kind of stuff. So you kind of get where I'm going here. It's about the bigger picture. Now, the interesting thing kind of becomes, in my mind, and I think this is, maybe where Waypoint hits scratches a really interesting itch, is when you've got all these things in place, there's kind of this inherent question of what's the right abstraction for these things that we've got. At least this is how I reason with it in my head, right? So let's just put people to the side, and these will be our developers here. Okay. So when we go in and we kind of think about this, what we're really thinking about with the abstraction is what's the right level of abstraction for folks to be successful with this platform we build? I mean, Kubernetes or not, this is a universally true concept, right? And it might seem like, at first, maybe there's a right answer out of the gate. And I'm a bit on a soapbox right now, so I apologize. But oftentimes it feels like, someone will send a tweet out and they'll say something like, if your developers know they're using Kubernetes, you failed. And I totally disagree with that. I think that's like so over the top, right? I think the sentiment could be right in certain cases, but I largely think of this abstraction problem as a bit of a spectrum, right? It's kind of this spectrum where if we think about the abstraction of Kubernetes or any platform, this is more than just Kubernetes. This is the platform as a whole, but we'll use Kubernetes as the example. There's really a whole spectrum here. On the very left side, we could expose raw Kubernetes. Like, for example, let's say that we're in a model where we just want developers to sign up on EKS, spin up their own clusters, and have at it. Do your own thing. We're not worried about multi-tenancy and all that. So you have your own cluster, go for it. Now, a lot of times that's a terrible idea, right? It's totally terrible. And on top of that, in a lot of orgs, if we gave orgs raw Kubernetes, so I've done a bunch with like telcos and banks at this point. If I went in there and said, we're going to bring Kubernetes in and all your developers need to learn Kubernetes, that would absolutely not fly. And a lot of times in Kubernetes land, we kind of think about it like, oh, well, what do you mean they can't just learn like a YAML file? But it's way more than that, right? You need to learn what a replica set is. You need to know the relation between services. You need to know how to wire up X, Y, and Z. It's such a conceptual overhead. Like learning Kubernetes, sure, the interface is this declarative YAML file, but making correct decisions and doing things effectively in the system, it's more complex than that. It's freaking hard. It is really hard, especially when it's not your world. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we have what I would call the full abstraction. Now, I think Waypoint will maybe play a little bit closer on this side of the spectrum, but let me talk a bit about the full abstraction for a moment. When I think of a full abstraction, I don't know about y'all, but I'm thinking about like Heroku. I'm thinking about Cloud Foundry. I'm thinking about things that let's think about Heroku. So everyone in chat, say yes if you've used Heroku before. I'm super curious. Is anyone? Let me just poll the audience. Who here has used Heroku before to any extent? Give me a yes, even if you just played around. Who's used Heroku? I'm seeing a couple yeses come in. So okay, a couple folks. Yeah. Okay. Good. So what do we know about Heroku? We oftentimes refer to it as like a platform as a service, and I know this is kind of one of the things that Waypoint is kind of approaching it from a new lens or a new angle, perhaps. What's interesting about Heroku? Well, you kind of just like take your code base and run a command, and I admit I'm oversimplifying it, but like somehow it just shows up in a cluster, you get an endpoint, and then boom. And think about that from a developer experience standpoint, right? There's tons of trade-offs with this approach. So I'm not trying to say like Heroku is a golden state. There's a lot of reasons why it actually might be terrible for you. But it is, if the model and opinions of Heroku work for you, it could be an amazing model. You run this command, your app starts running, it went through some weird build pack thing that you don't even have to really worry about, and then boom, you've got a URL that you can start hitting. Does Heroku use Kubernetes under the hood? Who cares? Like, who cares if they use Kubernetes under the hood? Because that level of abstraction is something that prevents us from being worried about some of those pieces. So what I'm really trying to get at here with a bit of my soapbox is how much we should abstract Kubernetes is really nuanced. And honestly, I think the best way to make this decision organizationally is to talk to your end users. Don't just go build a system in abstraction and not bring your developers along for the ride. Your developers, for a lot of us at least, are our customers, right? And we want to make sure the abstractions we're making are right, because it's not just raw K8s or full abstraction either. It's not a binary decision. You can have entry points that are kind of in the middle. Things where you have a happy path, perhaps through something like Waypoint, I don't know, we'll find out today, but then also expose the underlying knobs in certain respects that don't put your system at risk and other things like that. So it's a really, really interesting thing to think about. Pierre said Netlify might be a better, yeah, exactly. I think Netlify is another awesome example. It's really that kind of end-to-end experience, and how do you build it? So with all of that ranting in place, right? Let's talk a little bit about Waypoint and how it provides an abstraction like this. And it's actually a pretty unique approach to thinking about this abstraction, right? Oh, hey, Steve. Yeah, I was just talking about the rocket shirt too. So we're on the same page. So far in chat, we've got a rocket shirt, a rocket sticker, and there's lots of rockets going on today. All right. So, all right. Waypoint. Waypoint is a project that got announced by Hashicorp. It is super, super interesting. And there's three things that, from what I understand about it, there's three things that it's focused on. It seems like it's focused on bringing a PaaS-like experience. And Hashicorp folks that are in the chat, you are super welcome to correct me if I say something silly. I will take no offense, okay? First time looking at this thing. It can theoretically bring a PaaS-like experience by focusing on how to solve the build, deploy, and release components that come along with a PaaS. Now, I think what's pretty interesting about Waypoint, at least to my understanding so far, and we might learn differently here pretty soon, but I think what's kind of interesting about it is when you think about this idea of deploy, when you think about this idea of, sorry if I'm using the wrong terms here, we'll learn them soon, rollout, and then if you think about the idea of build. A lot of things that you end up with these PaaSes is like if you're in Heroku land or Cloud Foundry land, they're defined. It's a good user experience, but like it just is what it is. And what's really interesting about Waypoint, at least from what I understand so far, is we can basically plug these in to different components that make sense. So think about the idea of providing an experience somewhat, let's say like with one layer of indirection from what the underlying things are that satisfy it, if that makes sense. So like, let's make this really concrete real quick. What do we mean for build? Well, maybe you want to use build packs, right? So build pack. Maybe you want to use Docker files for build. So we'll put in the Docker file here, right? So we've got build packs, we've got Docker files, and I think one of the interesting ideas here, unless I've got it totally wrong, is that by running a build command of some sort, we'll learn about how you do it in HCL and all that stuff soon, these details don't necessarily have to be front of mind in a lot of ways. We can really kind of run something, we can plug into some provider, and I would imagine Waypoint is super extensible for defining custom functionality. I'm sure that's going to be a crux for a lot of large enterprise users. And then same idea for things like deploy. What if our deploy experience is consistent for ECS in the same way that it is for Kubernetes? Right? And from the higher level, abstracted view of our end user, what if we don't need to worry about the intricacies, the underlying complexities, the deltas between these things? We just know how to use up or whatever the command ends up being with Waypoint to make these things happen, right? So super, super interesting stuff. And I think it's a pretty interesting take on the PaaS space. That's why I'm so psyched to check it out with you all today. Joe says he has his CoreOS challenge. I know there's so much CoreOS going on lately. I probably got to dial it back a bit. Maddie asked, where does Waypoint fall on the stability spectrum? It looks like you got some answers there, Maddie. So a 0.1 release. So correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like it's still early days, perhaps, but it's looking really cool and probably a good time to start testing it out. Oh, that's interesting, Noel. Any Hashi product in 0.1 is production ready. Huh. Interesting stuff. Cool. And Richard, you said planning to try and make a pack plus cloud native build pack extension or CNAB extension. Some limitation, but still a lot of power. Very cool. Okay. Very, very cool. And Waleed, you said you will still need to provision EKS and not ECS. Can you, I think it can it talk to ECS? Do you all have a provider already that talks to ECS? I don't know. Interesting stuff. Okay, and Cody says Waypoint isn't really made for prod at this point, which is fair. But I think what's really cool about this, and I haven't looked at the provider or plugin model, but the concept is really sound. So if the way you implement the plugin is open and you can do it, there's probably nothing preventing you from running with kind of these underlying providers. And sorry if I'm screwing up the verbiage y'all use at Hashicorp, but I think of them like plugins or providers that could satisfy these types of commands. Now, if there's like major API changes in core Waypoint, that's of course a different story, but it's just a really interesting take, I think, on the level this PaaS can play. All right. Oh no, Steve, you got an incident. Okay, well, good luck, Steve. We'll be thinking of you. We'll see you next week, maybe. Okay, have a good night. All right, we're giving you hug ops. Okay, so let's see if we can get Waypoint set up here. Here's the answer to my question. AWS, EC2, and ECS. So it does look like it supports more than just Cube. Let's see if we can get this thing rolling. So we'll start with the installation here. Manual installation, echo path. There's a binary. Okay. So we did open service mesh last week, like a lot of you saw, and it looks like Waypoint has a CLI too. I wonder if this idea, well, I guess Waypoint having a CLI makes a ton of sense, right? It probably wouldn't make sense for it to not have a CLI, given that end users are probably going to use it. So, all right, let's get the Waypoint CLI in and start playing with this. I'm going to see real quick if I can download this package really easily. So let me just do a quick search. It looks like they've got Yum, apt, and Homebrew and Chocolate, however the heck you say that Microsoft one. So you can grab the binary off of those. What am I looking for? Waypoint, right? Waypoint bin. No. Waypoint bin. Okay. And 0.13, that sounds like the version y'all were saying in chat, so I'm just going to assume that's good. Let me go ahead and get this thing bootstrapped real quick. So go in here, git clone, Waypoint bin. All right, and then I will make that package. Lovely. Okay, so Waypoint is being installed on my system, and if all goes well, the binary should show up. Waleed, you said the CLI UI is awesome. Interesting. Okay, let's check that out. So I think if you're saying UI, you mean there's a dashboard that the CLI will pop up? If so, that's pretty cool. Okay, let's see if we got Waypoint now. Hey, it's Waypoint. Okay, great. That was easy enough. All right, so what do we got going on with Waypoint? We've got build, deploy, release, up. Okay, so this kind of looks very consistent with Hashicorp stuff. I'm seeing up, right? So you probably can init, and init's down here, yep. This will be an interesting one for us. So there's an install command. Install Waypoint Server to Kubernetes, Nomad, or Docker. You know, I should have made sure that I used Cluster API to spin up a cluster before this episode, and okay, it's healthy, good. I didn't double check it. Okay, so we've got that. We're looking good. I'm guessing we're probably going to start here. So let's go back to the docs and see what we got going on. Okay, so we've got that. Validate the installation. Okay, we know that that's good. It looked like they had a Kubernetes one. Let me go to the docs real quick, actually, because I was looking through these earlier, and I wanted to pull up the architecture with y'all. So we got the CLI so far, right? And I've got a Kubernetes cluster. It looks like there's going to be some type of server component we're going to be running. So server is the Waypoint server. It's long running. It's a central service that serves the API. The API is consumed by the CLI. That makes sense. Entry point and other consumers. So I'm guessing server is going to go, well, I guess it's actually telling me right here. It's going to go in my Kube cluster or Nomad or Amazon EC2 somewhere. And then I'm going to be directly interacting with that server is what it looks like. We've got an entry point, which is designed to not affect the child process of any failures. Interesting. I'll have to take a closer look at that. And then runner, which is dedicated runner. Oh, if the dedicated runner is down, the capacity of the server to execute remote operations is diminished. Okay, I think that's just some more internal stuff. So we should just have to get the server installed. Let's see if I go back to the GitHub page. I saw a link for Kube, so I'll stay a bit on the happy path initially, at least. Okay. And Waleed, you said you can do a Docker. Okay, cool. I do have a Kube cluster, so we'll probably start with that, and then maybe we could do a Kube cluster and a Docker daemon hookup side by side. That'd be kind of cool. All right. So Cody says a ton of work on it was with Kind and early testing. Cool. So we should, hopefully our cluster API cluster won't cause us any issues, but if it does, no biggie. We'll figure it out. All right, so let's go ahead and clone the repo. It looks like that's the first thing they want us to do. So we will go into the development. Sorry. Let's go into there we go, my TGIK episode, just in case we want to commit this for any reason. I doubt we will. So we'll bring in Waypoint examples git, and we're good there now. And if we go back over, looks like there's a Node.js app we'll be working off of. There's Kind creating the cluster. I've already done that. And here's what I was looking for. Okay, install the server to Kubernetes. All right, cool. So let's grab that real quick, and we'll take a quick look at what this does. So first things first, as usual, let's look at what I've got in the cluster. So if we do a kubectl get pods, let's see here. We'll just do for cubes. We'll do for all, just so you can see what I got going on. So make that bigger, do that. There we go. Okay, pretty normal cluster, right? We got a CNI, we got etcd, we've got kube proxy, and then we've got some vSphere junk since I'm running all this stuff on my home lab. So all that's fine and dandy. Let's go ahead and put up a watch here. So we will set a watch again for that. And then I'm going to go ahead and run Waypoint install. And then it was, what was it? Platform Kubernetes except TOS. So platform Kubernetes. And then we will accept TOS. Cool. Looks good? Yeah, looks good. Let's try it. Waypoint install. It's creating some stuff. All right, we've got a Waypoint server coming up. Waiting for Kubernetes service. Okay, so far only one component. So this is that server thing we looked at in the architecture. That kind of makes sense. And I'd imagine once we're up and healthy, we should be good to start interacting with this thing from the CLI. Cody said the CLI needs to be able to reach the server, and the deployed workload needs to be able to reach the server as well. Okay, we can definitely can make that happen. Server has to be accessible from the cluster to have the endpoints working. Yep, we'll make sure we do some routing here. Seems like it's having trouble starting. So before we worry about routability here, let's take a quick look. So kubectl get, we'll describe this pod. What do you say? Describe pod. Oh no, volume binding. Okay, no big deal. So the irony here is that I've got a CSI running, but I have no idea if it's configured correctly. But we can work around this, no problem. So here's what we're gonna do. Let's figure out what the PVC is, right? So kubectl get PVC. It might be cool for Waypoint, kind of like I think Vault does this with their Helm chart, where you can run it in like a dev mode and it won't require a PV. That could be kind of a cool feature. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but PVC, we've got this here. So data Waypoint server. Okay, we just need to make a PV match here. No big deal. So let's go ahead and do that. Kubernetes persistent volumes. We'll grab a local volume. And I'll be bad and just bind it to something that I shouldn't bind it to. So we've got, let's see, I need the claim types. Volumes, this is it, right? Yep, this is it. So we'll go to local, and we'll grab a persistent volume right here. Okay. Yeah, and Joe says the Vault Helm chart runs by default as a 3-pod stateful set, but in dev mode, yeah, you can keep it. I'm thinking you can just, actually I know for a fact 'cause I've installed it a couple times without that, so that could be kind of cool. I'm guessing Kind, I haven't even looked at Kind recently, but I'm guessing it maybe like has a CSI driver that does ephemeral allocations. Is that right, everyone? Just to kind of satisfy PVCs out of the gate. So, okay, no big deal. Let's get a PV set up. So we'll do pv.yaml. And we're going to be really bad here. We're going to mount to mount. And just don't tell anyone I did that. And now we just got to figure out the host name. So kubectl get nodes. We'll do a wide command here. And I'll pick one of my hosts, not the control plane. So let's roll with 65D, everyone. Don't forget 65D. I might need, oh, they're all 65D. I should have said 29F5. 29F5 is what we're going to use. Okay. So we'll go ahead and put that there. We'll do that. We'll say it's 100 gigs. Doesn't really matter. Persistent volume, delete. No storage class in this because I think the PVC was not using a storage class. And let's do it. Okay, so we do kubectl. We're going to watch our lovely PVC. So get PVC. Oops. Maybe I should type kubectl, huh? What do you think? Kubectl. This is why you all want me to have those aliases so bad. Okay, so kubectl apply PV YAML. PV is created. Okay. Now, as long as I didn't screw the PV up royally, the PVC should bind to it, and then I'm thinking Waypoint will start for us. At least that's my hope. Kubectl. Oh, there it is. It's bound. Okay, lovely. So obviously I'm doing something that would be atrocious practice in real life, but hey, we're out here. We're doing our thing in TGIK. Kubectl get pods. Oh, hey, check it out. Waypoint starting up. Okay. So we've got a Waypoint server. What else are y'all talking about? Cody said, kind and metal LB. So Cody, I'm guessing there's some kind of like, probably in the later like rollout phase or whatever, you probably have some load balancer integration with like metal LB or probably any load balancer in Cube, I'm guessing. All right, Waypoint's good. We should be able to talk to it. I think maybe possibly Let's see if our install is going to come ready. Oh, you know what? It's okay. So now it's reporting ready, but the service needs to be routable. Okay, I'm going to do some really bad stuff today. I'm sorry in advance to everyone. So if we do kubectl get service, the service is this right here. Oh wait, it's routable on a node port though, because it's using a load balancer integration. I would think that would just work, unless it's waiting for something else. Huh. 10, interesting. Maybe it's it probably wouldn't know the host node port to go to. I wonder if it's trying to go to the cluster IP. Here, we can do something really bad. Let's try it. Why use a proxy when you can just change your routing tables? So here's our service IP. Here is our, if we do a kubectl get pods for O wide, we've got, we're running on this IP address. And then watch, I'm going to bork up my routing tables and then I'm going to lose you all on the stream. I can guarantee it. Okay, so if we put the IP right here in my routing table, okay, let's see if this works. Invalid gateway. What did I do wrong? Dev via, it needs to be routable from your machine. Yeah, I think I can make it routable from my machine. Oh wait, what am I doing? This is the gateway. This is the gateway. Add route via 100. Wait, kubectl get nodes. Oh yeah, silly me. Sorry, hold on one second. Kubectl get nodes 29F57. This is our gateway. So our gateway is really the host, because you can kind of think of like a kube node as like its own little kind of sub network in a way. So we'll do that. That worked. Okay, let's see if my theory is working or if I'm just atrociously off here and it's not going to work. Okay. Waiting for service to become ready. Can I curl that service? Let's see here. Nope, not a happy camper. 1065. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, Evan, if it requires a load balancer. Because if so, I'm not going to have a load balancer. But if it's hard coded to check for an LB IP, I was hoping it would just look up the service IP perhaps, but because I mean in an on-prem environment like this, I might not actually have a load balancer. Kubectl get service LB. But if we do check this out, what's the default port? 9701. Here, let's check something out real quick. So boom, 9701. Nope, no luck. Yeah. Okay. Well, we might not be able to get to the UI then, because I'm not going to have a load balancer that's going to provision in this environment, at least, unless I install Metal LB, which could be an option. Yeah, I guess it must be exclusively looking up the external IP. Okay. We'll see if we can figure that out and work around it. As funny as it is, could you just slam Metal? Yeah, could turn Metal LB in, I guess. Really? I can't. So the CLI will need. Interesting. Huh. Trying to think like, okay. Yeah, I can deploy Metal LB. We can see if that'll work. All right, so LB deployment. Okay, CLI can launch a local server. Yeah, and just to check on the CLI, there's no easy way for me to say don't rely on the external IP. I can't just give it, because in theory, it can totally talk to this. It's in my routing table, but I'm guessing it's maybe hard coded to look up external IP. Is that fair? All right, let's see if we can deploy Metal LB. Yeah, it's waiting on the K8s API. Okay, got it. Okay, to say for the API for Kube, it wants one, but you could run the server locally on Docker, though. Yeah, I don't really want to spin up Kind, to be honest with you. I don't want to install it and set everything up. I'm a little adverse to Metal LB as well right now, but we're gonna give it a shot. See if we can get it. See if we can get it bootstrapped. So installation. If it can grab a VIP and respond to the ARP, I think we'll be looking pretty good. So you can achieve this by editing kubeproxy in the cluster. If you're using kubeproxy in IPVS mode, I'm not doing that. And set this. Nope. Install Metal LB daemon set. All right, let's see if we're gonna have any luck here. It probably needs an IP range somewhere though, right? Waypoint install. Yeah, I mean, I could install it on Docker too, I suppose. I'm kind of stoked to put it on Kubernetes, to be honest with you, though. So we'll see if we can get that. If we can get that working. If not, we can pivot and go into Docker. No big deal. Cool. All right, Metal LB controller deployment speaker. Okay. All right, I'll tell you what. Here's what I'm gonna do. I have a running theory here. So I've got the server in there, and what I want to see real quick. It says to initialize Waypoint, you must run the init command. So I kind of want to understand real quick where it's accessing that thing. So I'm gonna humor me real quick. I'm gonna try something out. So for the Node.js app that was in the examples directory, it's got some bits here. So I just want to see it kind of fail from the deploy perspective, and then maybe I can kind of reverse that back over to Metal LB. So if we do if we cd into Waypoint examples, and then we go into Kubernetes. Gabriel, you said after you install, you create the config map. That's got the IP range in it. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we'll probably just throw Metal LB in and we'll put that config map in. But I do just want to check out this app real quick. And once I see it blow up on this level, I promise you I'll go in and try to make my service routable. No big deal. So if we do a quick look at the HCL for Waypoint, all right, we've got the Node.js app here. And it looks like these are the three things that we were talking about, right? There's the build step, which we can point at Docker, the image step, the tag step, or not step, but the image specification, the tag, and local. And then we have got the deploy, which is using Kubernetes. So that makes sense. And then the release itself. So we'll have to dig a little bit into these. But what I want to do is I kind of want to run the build and see exactly how it blows up. And then we can go back to Metal LB. So let's start off here. It looks like we're going to be using build packs by default. So I'm guessing there's no Docker file in here. Yep, looks good. And in the commands, I think it said we could run a Waypoint init. So let's go ahead and try that out real quick. So we'll do a Waypoint init. Okay. And now we can do Waypoint up, which again should blow up. It looks like Waypoint init, correct me if I'm wrong, made this data.db file, and that might be about it. We've got the Waypoint HCL right here, which we just looked at. Now, actually, now that I think about it, granted, I don't even think we'll get to this step. I think it'll probably blow up in the pack stage because I won't be able to pull from a local repo. So I'm gonna put in my fully qualified Docker Hub URL. Hopefully that works. And we'll call this TGIK. And we will apply that, or up that. So Waypoint up, right? Okay, so building the image, Docker's not running on my system. We'll solve that. Docker systemctl start Docker, looks good. Okay, cool. And let's go ahead and try this one more time. Waypoint up. So build should work. I think deploy should fail, right? Does that sound about right, people? Given that it can't access that server. Okay. Waypoint installer message says you can set the server address manually. Maybe try setting it to a pod IP that works. Noel, good call. If that's the case, I might try. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying, Evan. That's using a local server. Got it. Cool. All right. Hashicorp provide their own build packs. Looks like Evan says they're using the CNB, the cloud native build packs for right now. YMO, you probably saw the change already. The chat might be delayed, but I just pushed to Docker Hub basically. So I'm assuming that fully qualified thing will make the same assumption that build packs normally would, which is that it wants to push to Docker Hub. Now this is interesting. Look where it's connected. So is it talking to the server to deploy the deployment? Clearly not, right? So for the Kube deployment piece, is it talking to the Kube API server? Because that's what it looked like it was talking to there, yeah? Am I wrong? Let's see. So kubectl, get pods. Okay, so it's hitting the K8s API. So tell us, Evan, if you don't mind. Sorry that I'm like totally quizzing you here. What are the things the server is going to provide? So it sounds like the dashboard for sure. Is it doing stuff to handle like the rollout components as well? maybe that's where the extra functionality is. Handles the web UI. Okay, cool. And I definitely want to try that out. Stores all the data. Okay, interesting. About the artifacts. Okay. Got it. And then coordinates jobs. So we could say, okay, so the deploy, oh, there's a runner model. Okay, I gotcha. All right, fair enough. Okay, so we'll have to get that server running and see if we can get that wired up. But it looks like it did deploy the app okay. It looks like we've got the Node.js app. If we do a quick, let's get the, well, actually, we'll check out the docs real quick. Waypoint up, deploying, configuring. It gave us a deployment. Oh, the deployment URL came in my terminal, didn't it? So this is my deployment URL. That makes sense. Okay. What you are using now is just a server that is run by the CLI whenever you run a command. Okay, I see. And then Cody, you said the server also provides the external accessibility. If I deployed against a server, you could share a URL here that all of us could hit. Interesting. Huh. Okay, we'll have to see if we can get that server up or routable so that I can hopefully try that out. Okay. So we've got the release URL. Let's just make sure that the app seems to be healthy and fine, but we'll just make sure that it's good. So if we do kubectl, get pods, we'll do o wide. This one got dropped on 4s7s, kubectl, get nodes, o wide. And this is 4s7s. So here's my IP address. All right, good. And we're just going to do another one of those hacks real quick. So we'll make that routable. So route that. Here's my IP. This one I could probably just use kube proxy for, frankly, but that's no fun. Let's grab that. Let's get this. 92 is the IP here. So boom. And then we'll do this. Okay. Let's see here. What am I doing? 92 is what I wanted. Kubectl, get nodes, o wide. I think I'm getting my copying and pasting mixed up. There it is. Okay. Good deal. We're good. Okay. Let's see if we can reach this URL real quick. Okay. So, all right, good deal. So we got, we got a little ways. We still got to figure out the server thing, but it looks like we were able to go in, wire up Waypoint to some extent, and then be able to just deploy the app and roll through it just like that. Let's see what else y'all got going on. YMO says, is Waypoint something that you can start from a CI/CD pipeline? And Cody says, yep. And I think Cody, I saw it on Twitter, but I forgot to add it to the notes. Somebody from GitLab has a blog post on it too, on how to kind of integrate Waypoint with CI/CD. So if anyone has that link and wants to throw it in the show notes, feel free to do that. Waleed said you can try to roll out a new release. Yeah, good point. Let's see here. So it says, try making a change to the text locally and then doing Waypoint up again. I'm guessing it'd probably be a lot cooler if we can go in the server and see it too. But let's just validate that real quick, and then we'll get the server thing working. It can't be that hard. So let's see. Am I still in the Node.js app? Yeah, it looks like I am. So if I go into, try making a change to this text locally. Okay, where is the text coming from? Is it in public? Nope. Is it in views? Pages? Partials maybe? Let's see. Header. I don't know anything about JavaScript. Okay. Pages. Index. Is this it? Hey, okay, cool. All right, so TGIK. Waypoint is awesome. Let's try it out. So we'll do that change. And then, again, keep in mind, we got kind of a whole pipeline that Waypoint is sort of, I guess, orchestrating, you could say. So let's go in and let's do a Waypoint up again. Okay, building, project was not found. Oh, I'm in views now, duh. All right, so we'll do Waypoint up. It'll rebuild. And then I'm guessing if we do a watch for the pods, so we will watch kubectl pods, get pods. All right, I'm guessing once we get through the build phase, we should roll through the update. All right. So keep an eye on that for a sec and then see if we can get this rolling. Oh, there we go. Cool. Coming right through, pulling up. Good deal. All right. Cool. Okay. All right. Cool stuff. Let's see if we can get this server set up and good to go. We'll give it a shot with Metal LB. And if not, worst case scenario, we'll do it in my local Docker daemon. How's that sound? So let's go in and get Metal LB deployed. So where did I put that deployment? Okay. Customize. Trying to find that supposed config map I need to worry about. So kubectl, apply, namespace, Metal LB, secret key. Okay, looks good. Let's try this. LB system, memberless, secret key. Okay, the installation manifest does not include the configuration file. Okay, that's probably what I'm looking for. So I just need to go in and probably put a range in, is what I'm thinking. Okay. So you said Metal LB needs another episode for itself. I totally agree. I feel like I'm surprised we haven't done Metal LB. Have we not done a TGIK on Metal LB? I'm surprised. Okay, so let's do this thing. We'll go in and we will try to get Metal LB bootstrapped. So get out of Waypoint real quick. And we will kubectl, or actually, let me just do the metal.shell here. It's such a metal shell script. Okay, so we will add that as executable and we'll run metal shell. Okay, good deal. Let's get this thing bootstrapped. Kubectl get pods inside of namespace metal. What namespace name did it put? Get namespace Metal LB system. Okay, Metal LB system. Sweet. Okay, we've got the speakers up, which should be able to respond to the ARP request. Everything's running. Where the heck is my config map at? So kubectl get, did it deploy a config map by default? Nope, it didn't. Okay, so inside of their docs here, there's gotta be a config map. Okay, so you can install Metal LB with customize if you want to use the config map generator. Let's see here. Config map is named config. Do you mean that it's already in the cluster, or am I just missing it somewhere? Let's see. Joe says no Metal LB for metal anything. Yeah, the virtualization company isn't doing enough metal related stuff is my take on it. You got to create it. Where the heck is there an example of the thing? You need to define the config map. Give me, here we go. Hey, okay. Now if I just choose an IP that's actually routable on my network, I think we might be in a good spot. Let's see if I can actually do that. Okay, config map. So this will be metal lb config map.yaml. Okay. Good deal. All right, so what is my range that's safe? So in my network, 16. Okay, I should be pretty good. So I'll choose 168.5 or something like that. So 168.5. We'll just cross our fingers and hope no one's using this IP. Again, don't tell anybody. 100, 168.5, 200. What do y'all think? That seems like a legit range. Metal LB system. Kubectl apply f metal LB. Okay. All right. Now. Hey, I have an external IP. Is it routable? Is it actually routable? Next question. Okay. So let's go here. Would I be able to would I be able to just hit this server? I don't even know if the server like has a UI by default or if I have to do something. Thank you, Metal LB. I agree. Thank you so much. And as Rich says, nobody is allowed to tell my boss that I am messing with routing tables and using Metal LB. Okay. It has one by default. Oh, does it need the host name? I doubt it. Well, let's see real quick. If I do Metal LB, okay, here, let's back up a little bit because I've kind of mixed things up now. I did a Waypoint install before, which I'm guessing Waypoint install is going to fail now, right? It probably will see the stateful set and blow up. Creating Kubernetes resources, blah, blah, blah. Oh, the UI is 972. Thank you, Cody. You may have just saved me 6 hours of figuring out why I can't access it. And I probably should have known from the service, right? 9702. Is that right? Hey, okay. Client sent an HTTP request to an HTTPS server. That seems problematic. Hey, I don't know, Hashicorp. Should I trust you? What's going on with this cert? Okay. Oh no, what happened? What? I thought did I say go back? I need to look at what I click on. Advanced is what I meant to say. Accept and continue. Check it out, everyone. Pretty cool. All right, to get started, please authenticate. Run this to generate the CLI. Pretty cool. Here we go. We've got a token. All right. Authenticate. Huh. Paste token. Authenticate. What are you doing, Waypoint? I think it's I'm doing something weird. That's not going to work because your context for the CLI was okay. Good point. So here's my proposition, Evan. Let's delete Waypoint and do install again. What do you say? I feel like just to prevent me from screwing up more and more as we keep going. So get pod all. What do we got going on here? Let's do Waypoint devs. Is the easiest way just to delete the stateful set, or is there like a more robust way to actually do a cleanup here? Oh, there is a cleanup command. Sorry, my chat was screwed up there for a second. Oh, delete the stateful set. Okay, lovely. Sorry. Reading chat wrong here. Let's do it. So we will kubectl delete our stateful set for Waypoint Server. Huh. Isn't SS a shortcut for stateful set? Am I losing my mind? I thought that used to work. Huh. Oh, it's STS. Ah, okay. Not found. Oh, duh, because I have the ID of the thing on it in the end there. Okay, that was deleted. And you said the server service. Should I delete the service too? Kubectl get service. We will delete the service, which is Waypoint as well. How's that sound? Get service. Seem good? We've got the service deleted. We've got the server deleted. Okay. Rex says never use aliases. You've called me out. I am a hypocrite. To be fair, technically it's like a shortcut, right? But no, I hear you. You're not wrong. Okay, so let's do the install again. Delete the PVC too. Okay. We need a cleanup command. I think we need a cleanup command. Okay. Kubectl get PVC. Good call. Kubectl delete PVC data Waypoint server. All right. Lovely. Here we go. Fingers crossed, everyone. Waypoint install. I'm trying to remember all the commands here. Platform equals Kubernetes except TOS. Hey, okay, cool. Stateful set is reportedly running. It found the PV. While it's doing that, we'll do a kubectl get service. An external IP did get provisioned. So hopefully it gets past whatever it's doing here. Let's just double check. So we've got 100 here. We'll go here. We'll do 9702 again. Wait, what was the IP? 9702. Yeah. Okay, maybe the server is just not up yet. There it is. Okay, now it's up. And hopefully, my little command line friend, you find my server. Okay. Waiting for service to become ready. Waleed, you said a knit from the example dir. Do you mean for the app? Because I think that's already... Yeah, Cody, I did, but this time it should be good because I had the PV still. So, oh, wait, you might be right. You actually might be right. The PV says status failed. Kubectl, get PVC. Ah, good call, good call. Maybe that's what it is. Hopefully I can beat the timeout here. Let's do this. Example PV number 2. And we'll apply that PV. It's funny that the stateful set started, though. Why would the stateful set start if the PVC was failed? That seems like a weird Kubernetes thing. Okay, 222 is created. Yeah, Eric, my can is green, which is pretty rad, right? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, so hey, woo, that was it. Why did the stateful set start if the PVC was failed? Am I losing my mind, everyone? It should fail, right? If the PVC didn't bind? I don't know. I must be losing my mind here. Anywho, that's a Kubernetes problem. That's not a Waypoint problem. Nonetheless, we've maybe got an UI that we can use now. So let's check this out. Pretty cool stuff. We'll authenticate. We'll do the Waypoint token. We'll hit that. And let's grab the lovely token here. Incomplete response. All right, Josh. What did you do now? Okay, copy that. Waypoint token. Let me just pipe it into my clipboard to make sure I'm not doing something silly here. Okay, we're good. So there's that. Oh, there's a command for waypoint UUID. Yeah, Joe, what's funny is I have a CSI running and I don't have a storage class configured. So I don't really know. I don't know what I did. It's probably something on my end. Dang it, incomplete response. Okay, Cody says waypoint UI authenticate. Should I try that? Waypoint UI authenticate. Okay, something popped up in a browser y'all can't see. Let me see if I can bring it over. Secure connection failed. Weird. Let me bring this URL over here. Let's see here. Okay. Advertise address, web UI address, cert stuff. Probably is cert stuff. I'm living my best life over here. So this is what Waypoint UI authenticate does. Am I losing my mind again for the second time today? Security error reissued issuer serial. Cert without the same import serial cert. Is there any chance there's something wrong with the cert gen? Yeah, I wonder if it's an SSL error too, Evan. Oh, I need to bypass the cert. Learn more. Oh boy, Mozilla. Why are you making my life so hard? Can I just bypass it? Does Chrome make this easier to bypass by any chance? Let's see. I love you, Firefox, but sometimes I hate you. Here we go. Hey. Okay. Here we go. When in doubt, just sell some data to Google and call it a day. 100. Hey, here we are. Okay, so we were having an SSL error. You're right. Okay, so now we probably can just roll through this example again and try to bring all this full circle, and we might be able to wrap up on that. So projects are looking good. And Nuno, you said you have accepted the previous cert. Oh, the new has the same serial. That would make a lot of sense then. So it's freaked out because before I got to it, maybe that's what it was doing. Okay. And Rich said he's snitching about bypassing certs. that'll be the end of me there. About all the bad things I did, accepting an untrusted cert, you know? Cool. All right. So let's deploy the app again and let's see if we can get this thing all wired up. Just like Yusuf said. Yep. Let's do it. Okay. So we'll go back here. I think I still remember the commands. It should be pretty simple. So we'll go into the Waypoint examples. It was Kubernetes, Node.js. It was Waypoint not Waypoint. Oh, I already have it wired up because I did that before, right? So as a reminder, here's what we got going on. We've got this example Node.js. We've got pack build. We've got the deploy. You know, it'd be interesting. I don't know if y'all have an example on the docs already, but is there a way in like the release stage for me to add a load balancer to the deployment too? That could be kind of cool. Now that you've forced my hand and made me deploy Metal LB, I might as well make good use of it. Okay, so let's do waypoint up. Waypoint up. Okay. Node.js was not found. Waypoint init was run with this project. Oh, Evan says the default's a load balancer. Okay, cool. So init. Oh, I was using a different server before. Duh. You all are right. Yep. Waypoint init. Project's initialized again. Waypoint up. All right. Moment of truth. You're probably all thinking, Josh, if you would have just freaking made the UI work the first time, we wouldn't be doing this again. But we learned some cool stuff, you know, here and there. File it in the category of useless information. Cool. So build packs are going. I'm deploying up to my Docker Hub account. And now we're deploying. Should I be looking in the UI? Is that the best place to look? Check it out. Example Node.js. Right. Let's see what we got going on here. So, okay. So tell me if I'm totally off here. This UI, long term, is this a UI that's going to be something the developers will probably be using? I'm guessing so. I'm guessing it's not like an operator only type UI. The terminal screen. Do you mean the like loading bits that it does, Waleed? Because that is pretty freaking cool. I like how it's like pending constantly. Oh, it looks like we got some more interesting stuff here too. So we've got the release URL, which is from before, and there's that deployment URL. Can I deploy app from UI? Good question, Flesh. Let's see if we can we do it from the UI? It looks like from what I'm seeing right now, maybe not. Maybe this is just reflective of that. Oh, check it out. It's pulling the app logs off. Okay, Evan says the UI is meant to be for both operators and devs. Because when I was coming in here and seeing it, it's like, okay, my builds are going to be in here. Oh, this is cool. I love how it has the little build pack logo and the Kubernetes logo. I get really impressed by the things that are not really substantial, but seeing these little logos here, it kind of just like, it tells a story, right? Because you can have, like we were talking about really early on, those different backends, right? And kind of see how you've plugged into those from this UI. But I guess, okay. The dots are slowly connecting here. If I was running an ECS, the UI would be a totally separate server, right? So there's no like federation today, I'm assuming, where I can see universally where Waypoint has put all my stuff. Like I would think for each provider, I'm going to have a unique UI. Tell me if I'm totally wrong there. I could be off. So this is cool. Built from pack, Kubernetes. Oh, Evan says you could use one server. Okay, interesting. So this server that's running in my kube cluster, are you saying that it could plug into like an ECS backend to do the deployments? Is that fair? All right. So we've got logs. That's pretty cool. We've got exec. I see. It's an abstraction on like Docker exec or kubectl exec. Let's check that out real quick in the command line. So if we do waypoint, okay, I'm guessing maybe it'll just know because of where my app is. Waypoint exec. Okay, I'm connected to deployment v1. What does that mean? Let's see here. Connected. Do I need to tell it the command? I probably need to tell it what I actually want to run. There we go. Sweet. Okay, this is really cool. So if you think about this for a moment, think about how neat this is from a developer's perspective. Like, I don't need to worry about kubectl, what's the name of my pod? Or kubectl, blah, 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 where the heck is this thing running? Based on the context that Waypoint has from this local directory where I did the up, just running exec is that's all abstracted in short. Like it's just you exec and then it wires it up. And I'm guessing hypothetically, whether we're doing a Docker exec or a kubectl exec or whatever, like that's now not a concern for me as an end user. I just run exec and I just got the thing. And I suppose the same principle is true for logs. Like think about this. Don't need to find the pod name. Don't need to figure out what namespaces it is in, blah, blah, blah. I just run Waypoint logs and there are my logs. That's a pretty sweet experience from a developer standpoint, right? Yeah, I agree, Rich. That exec is that's slick. I'm into that. It'll be cool when it shows up in the UI too. All right. So if apps reach each other, sure. Evan says the biggie is at the entry point to work. Okay, so the architecture thing about the entry point, the piece I didn't really grok, is probably where the keys are there. Let's see here. John Chase says, can you exec in the ECS ones? That's a good question. I am not sure. Okay. Earlier when you asked what the big thing is, it's the concept, a consistent way. Exactly. Just like Cody said that I think is perfect. It's like you can have all these providers, right? And you can have an abstraction that takes needing to learn those details away from developers. And I again, like, I'm trying to be somewhat straight here. There's trade-offs to that, I think in both directions. But a lot of people are trying to bring experiences like this to people using their cube clusters. I remember an example this kind of makes me think of. You all might have heard me talk about this. There was a KubeCon video. And if anyone can find the link, feel free to put it in the show notes. There's a KubeCon video from who I think was Uber. And they were talking about their abstraction system that I think they called something like Peloton. And this thing abstracted Mesosphere and Kubernetes. And it was really a quite similar concept. Like in-house, they had to build this developer experience that abstracted these two underlying providers. So not only is it something where, like, in theory, you don't have to become a cube expert, it's going to give you flexibility, as an abstraction typically does, for there to be options in the underlying providers, for there to be a change in the underlying provider over time, where the people plugging into your interface don't need to be worried that you're changing things under the hood. In theory, it's the devil's in the details there, but like, you kind of see where I'm going. It's kind of a pretty compelling stance on how we can build systems and how we can create developer experiences on top of them. So this is some interesting stuff. Okay, so what else should we look at here? Is there anything that's oh, sorry, wrong browser. Waypoint. So we've seen exec. Releases, I'm guessing this is just a hash. Here's our IP address. We've already gone to the website, so we've seen that kind of roll out. I don't know, what else do y'all think? Is there something else we should take a look at here? We've got logs, we've got builds. Let's go back to their tutorial and see if there was anything else that they called out in here. I'm impressed though. I think this is really, really cool. Tell us about the release URL thing, because I saw that show up in my terminal, I think. The release URL. Where was my release URL? Okay, so mainly curious Flamingo v1 Waypoint. Is that a real DNS record? Is that a real thing? Trying to figure out where that's coming from. So it says paste it into chat and tell. Oh, y'all can hit it. So that's a URL. I just put it in chat. That's a URL y'all can hit. Oh, cool. Interesting stuff. Okay. Yeah. And I'm guessing that behavior is obviously just a default that we can turn off. But interesting stuff. Okay. So you think about like URL sharing in dev environments and stuff like that, right? That's pretty interesting, huh? Yeah. Okay. I dig it. I wouldn't keep it on in production, but I do dig it. It's a cool feature set. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's I don't know Cody or Evan if y'all have like an architecture doc for like how that works. Maybe I missed it in the docs, but that would be really cool to read about how it's like broadcasting that, cuz this app is certainly running in my private network. So I know y'all aren't ingressing to my home lab right now. I can tell you that without question. So I'm guessing the server's doing some type of proxy. Is that, oh, some says check logs. Let's see. Check logs. Let's see here. Now that I got two browsers, I'm all confused. No, the logs don't say anything else other than listening. The entry point connects to the cluster. Okay, yeah, I got to read about that entry point thing. Rich says I'm in your lab. You people in my lab, you be careful. Next thing I know, I'm going to hear the fans on my servers just like ramp up, and y'all will become rich with some Bitcoin, I think. Not that I have enough hardware to actually harvest anything meaningful. All your labs belong to us. Yeah, that makes sense, Evan. So you're forwarding the connections back to the internet. Okay, got it. Yep. Yeah, that's a pretty cool idea. Like you think about, I mean, again, I'm not trying to like oversell anything because I mean I don't work at Hashicorp, I don't care. But you just think about how much rigmarole, how much stuff we go through to like share a URL with developers, and while you got to be careful with how you like allow this feature to happen in most more serious contexts, that's pretty cool. Like, hey, I just push this code up, click this link, boom, they've got it. And, you know, there might be some work around like providing internal services that do this and stuff too. I don't know if y'all have thought about that, if it's only something that can hook into like the public internet, or if it's something that like we could run a little internal server in a network and then have the same experience for inside of the intranet. You know what I mean? So Alex said, did the electrician install a 20 amp plug for your servers? Yeah, I've got some backups, so hopefully the power won't give out for the next 20 minutes while we're on TGIK still. Okay, that is pretty freaking cool. I'm impressed. This is really neat. Okay, so let's go ahead and check. Chaco asked if Evan says it's all OSS, so I'm guessing we probably could do that internal use case pretty easily. Okay, so we've got all that in place. Okay, maybe as a last step, and I'm open to ideas here if y'all have more, but maybe we could try. I'm trying to think how this would work. Could I hook into, with the same server, could I hook into my local Docker daemon? I'm trying to understand. I'm a little confused. I think I'm misunderstanding the entry point thing. I'm trying to think how, like, if I added, okay, let me make this more concrete because I'm just blabbing at this point. If I did waypoint.hcl, can I do something like this? Is this a thing where I can have it deploy to two providers like this? I mean, it's kind of an obscure use case, I know, but I'm just trying to think if it's pointed at the server that is on my Kubernetes cluster, how would that work exactly? Oh, well, it's going to, okay, I think, oh, it's not a thing right now. Okay, Evan, you're stopping me from making a mistake. So it's not a thing right now, but I'm guessing I could switch it out to run Docker in the case that you can't have two there. Okay, got it. Well, let's experiment with something real quick, just for the hell of it. So if I do this, and I probably should be reading the docs to see if there's different fields here for Docker. Release use Docker, I guess. So let's see if we can. Let's just see what this does. It probably doesn't make any sense. So let's do waypoint init. Failed to validate plugins, required plugins. Oh, ducks. I didn't run server against -- plugin. So yeah, that's interesting. Interesting stuff. An unsupported argument, validation. Huh. Oh wait, is it the unsupported argument that it blew up on? This validation check ensures that you have all the required plugins available in the configuration for each plugin. If it exists, it's valid. Oh, it's because I had probe path. Okay, that makes sense. So waypoint, let's get rid of probe path because that's not a thing in Docker per se. All right, does this work now? Oh, wow. Okay. So now if I do deploy, waypoint, or not deploy, up. Sorry, I'm still in my Kubernetes mindset. Okay, so I'm guessing this is my local Docker daemon. That's the best thing I could think. So we'll do a quick watch here. So in the bottom is my Docker daemon. We'll see if it, oh, hey, there it is. Pretty cool. Okay, so you might have noticed I used the command waypoint up. That's what's cool about this, right? It went to Kube, it went to Docker. Theoretically, we can code providers to probably do very, very specific things here based on how we want to deploy and what we want the behavior to be. So I've got that wired up. Now here's where I'm really interested. Check it out. Okay. So I see. Okay, I think I'm starting to grok the relationship between the server component now. It's starting to make a little bit more sense to me. I'm not going to say I understand how all this works yet, but I think I'm starting to kind of understand the mapping here. So I still have the server running in my kube cluster, as you all probably know. But how it's kind of going through and interacting with Docker and keeping the server up to date in a way can totally still run inside of my Kubernetes cluster. That's not a problem at all. So I can see my Docker deploy, I can see my kube deploy, no problem. All right. This is pretty cool. And then exec and all that stuff should work the same, just like we talked about. If I come in here and do waypoint exec, someday I'll remember I need a command, but maybe I'm using Docker exec. Maybe I'm using kubectl exec. It's abstracted. There's a plugin that defines how to satisfy this API, this kubectl exec, this waypoint exec API, which then can enable me to not have to worry about it. Pretty sweet. Gabriel, you said, hello, go edit the app and deploy a V2, Josh. Okay, fair enough. I hear you. Let's deploy a V2 real quick. So we did this earlier, but we didn't get to see it in the UI. So let's check it out. We'll go to Waypoint. I'm going to go back to Kubernetes for this one. So this is Kubernetes. And this release will be Kubernetes. Hopefully it's okay that I don't put a path in here. And oh, it's V2 now. Good point. Right. It doesn't. I guess I'm getting my providers mixed up. It already should be V2, right? So if we go to releases, there is V2. Yeah, this is it. So if we go into V1, I'm guessing at some point this will probably give us some more details about this. But we had V1, which was replaced on Kube. We've got V2, which was deployed on Docker. And even if we made a code change or whatever it might be, I'm guessing it's sort of the same mechanism here, which is pretty sweet. And then if we did all this with a Docker file rather than build packs, it would do that as well. So yeah, exactly, Waleed. V1 is Kube, V2 is Docker. That's it. Okay. Oh, Evan did call something out that I didn't think about. So Waypoint Up, if I'm hearing you right, Evan, is doing the whole stack. It's doing build, deploy, rollout. And I could have just done, so if we do this real quick, we'll do views, partials, header. Geez, you just did this a second ago, Josh. Partials, no, it was pages, right? There it is. Okay. And then we say, it freaking works. Then in theory, well, no, I'd have to build again, duh, because it's the pages compiled into the image. What am I thinking? Okay, that doesn't make any sense. Waypoint. Well, we'll deploy this one anyway. So waypoint, and if we just do the stages one by one. So if we do waypoint, is it build? Yep. So build, we'll build it back up. I'm guessing it's going to package up all of the JavaScript and HTML assets here. Oh, and I'm still on my local Docker endpoint. But what we'll do is we'll change it back to Kube now, and we'll go ahead and deploy it to Kube then. So cool. And that, by the way, that Docker thing that just popped up there, I think that was just the build pack thing. I don't think that was necessarily Waypoint. Okay, so now if we go back to the HCL, which was Kubernetes, right? Did I switch that already? Build, yeah, okay. So now we do Waypoint deploy. All right, and then we go back to the UI, and I think in a moment here we should see the V3, I guess, in this case, come back. So pretty cool. All right, and this, Gabriel, this hits your use case of updating something, because I actually updated something this time. There's V3, right in Kubernetes. Oh, it takes us right to the app, and check it out. Waypoint is awesome. Pretty cool. All right, what else are y'all talking about? Oh, Maddie, you asked if there's something similar to a Terraform registry for plugins. That would be pretty cool and interesting, especially as we build these out. What's going to be super interesting about how this plays out, I mean, I'm sure there's like a canonical set of, I'm sure there's like a canonical set of functionality that we probably all want. But I would think in organizations, a lot of orgs, if they were to truly use this, at least, and maybe I'm biased working mostly with like telco and financial services where things get like really specific. I feel like a lot of people will either extend or write their own plugins to make a lot of this stuff happen, because there's going to be so much regulation and preference and things they have to get through. And also just like how it's super interesting when you think about it, right? Like the pattern of how you want to deploy the thing. So like a lot of folks will have opinions like, oh, I use this ingress controller and I need for a rollout for it to be this very specific ingress definition where it looks up this value from this place and blah, 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 right? Or does X, Y, and Z very specific to how the kube stack is under the hood. And ideally, you don't want to expose that to developers, but I would think with whatever model Waypoint's using, you could go in and you could build that functionality out and that behavior out. And again, it's all about providing this experience and just, working on the back end to get some of those intricacies kind of pulled together. But Joshua, you said check the plugin section in the website. They are cool with gRPC implementations. Cool. Let me look at that real quick. And then we'll probably just wrap up roughly here today. Waleed, you said it was is it the V2 message or is it V3? Couldn't find Waypoint URL. Oh, maybe was it just delayed or something? Is that what happened? Here, let me go back. Yeah, I guess I did say something different for V3, right? Huh. TGIK Waypoint. I wonder what I did there. It's probably just cached. Waleed, you said you saw it update. Is that correct? Let's just open a fourth browser, right? Why not? Here we go. No, it's still there. Huh. I thought I changed that. Anyways. Okay, so let's check out the plugins. The plugins here. So where are they? Are they in the docs for Waypoint? There they are. Plugins. Using an external plugin. Authoring a plugin. So I don't know if there's a list somewhere with what exists, or maybe the plugins are just. Oh, here's the built-in plugins. My bad. Here we go. Plugins. Okay, cool. So here's the plugins you've got. And then, yeah, I mean, it'll be so cool to see how Hashicorp kind of plays this out. Because it's like, you think about the base level functionality for Cube, and people will probably want that. They'll want to be able to play around with Waypoint, make it work on vanilla Cube, make it work on vanilla EKS. And then when you start doing like the real stuff, the stuff that's going to be like in prod, it kind of shouldn't blow up or have a terrible UX, and it probably will have ultra specific needs. Then you just either extend the Cube one or you build your own, right? So this is pretty cool. Time will tell how many people are starting to use Waypoint for all the things, right? And Rajansha, you said waypoint.com docs for extending Waypoint. Is that not where we're at with plugins? Using an external plugin, authoring a plugin. Oh, it was at the bottom here, extending Waypoint. I see. Okay, cool. So it's just a matter of probably satisfying some gRPC calls. Pretty sweet. Okay. And Flesh, you said, can I use Waypoint to run some CI/CD? And yeah, the answer is yes. I'm not an expert on this, but I saw a blog post go up from someone in GitLab. Check that out if you get a chance. It was somewhere in Twitter. I got to find it. Someone might add it to the show notes too. But yeah, there's definitely some way you can do Waypoint integration with CI/CD. The Netlify plugin. That would have been an interesting one for us to try out, actually. Cool. On the left side of the page, scroll down to automating execution. Okay. Automating execution. Oh, cool. There's your answer. Good catch. So GitLab CI/CD, all that good stuff. What's interesting about this too, and I really dig this approach and what it's doing. I think there's been and tell me if you all agree in chat, and if you don't, don't be honest. I can take it. There's been a big push for like GitOps, right? And I feel like, in a way, when we talked about this principle of abstraction, right? And like, what's the right abstraction for your organization? I think what's funny about GitOps is a lot of that kind of reconciliation approach based on a Git repository backing it has been a bit of an abstraction for a lot of folks, It's kind of like, it still requires you oftentimes to write a YAML file and check it in and all that stuff. But in theory, if you do it fancy enough, you can find ways to pull stuff in and just kind of make it run in the cluster, which I think a lot of folks are kind of using as an abstraction bit. So what I'm getting at here is what's interesting is like, should the GitOps model gain steam? I wonder if it will be a competitor to abstractions like this, and not just Waypoint, but abstractions that kind of like have this kind of dev experience that's similar to it. or if there'll be like an integration point that makes sense. Like perhaps the idea of your deploy plugin, and now I'm just shooting from the hip here. I'm not saying I think this is a good idea, but your deploy plugin generating the static assets you need to then check in, which then GitOps takes over from there. The notion being like reducing some complexity in how whatever engine you use for GitOps wires everything up, still letting Waypoint provide that experience, but the target being a Git repo for the end result manifest, which then gets picked up and managed from some type of intra-cluster agent. So yeah, I don't know. And it's just kind of interesting how, I guess what I'm trying to say in too many words, frankly, is like, one of the next frontiers of Kubernetes is like finding how to abstract it well. I really think that's the case. And I'm not just trying to be cliche and say like, it's about what goes on top of Kubernetes, which is totally valid, but more so that just like now's the time for us to find like, what are the right abstraction options? And I think there can be a lot of them. And this is a remarkably compelling one, I think, as far as the experience that we've seen so far. And we're just in early days. It just seems like this GitOps and other stuff will be interesting to see how this plays out. We had orchestrator wars. Maybe we'll eventually have orchestrator abstraction wars. We'll see. Cool. So Waleed, you said, how would it work if you have different clusters for dev versus production? That's a good question. I'll let Cody throw some details in there. Okay. And Ivan, you said you wonder about, oh, hey, Ivan, by the way, I wonder about Waypoint interaction with Kube manifest rejected by admission. Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, Ivan. Like you think, and I know you work with like some companies and stuff. So you've probably seen like how when Kube clusters go from just vanilla, right, to becoming like way more intricate, like there's admission control in place and PSPs in place and resource request quotas and all these things. And, I think, and I could be wrong, I'm new to this stuff, but like, I think where some of that value add is like as a platform team, if you're going to adopt Waypoint, maybe you really think about how you're going to build a plugin that fits into that model. And I know it's not your exact question, like how it interacts and how it handles rejection is a whole nother story. But like, I think you can really build something that's compliant, because as a developer, it sucks when you deploy something and admission control blows it up. And then you have to spend 8 hours learning how Kubernetes works to understand what the hell a security context user ID 1001 is wrong error means, like we might know and love that kind of thing, but a lot of people don't. So, if you have this abstraction with something like Waypoint and you can have easier paths to do the right thing, you might be able to, again, provide that better experience and not have to make it such like a defensive stance where it's like, a lot of people run into it and it kind of blows up. And I'm speaking from personal experience, because a lot of times, again, when I help, especially financial services groups, the protection that we have to implement is crazy, right? And it hurts the developer user experience. Like we can't compromise on it because like, bank accounts and stuff can't be like exposed or like weird. There's important secrets, right? But at the same time, maybe the developer experience doesn't have to suffer so bad. Maybe there's a way for us to think through how we can go in and, again, use something like this to provide a happier path for developers. Sorry, I totally acknowledge I'm on my soapbox again, but that's kind of how I think it through. Joe said, this is a point of Corey Quinn saying, no one will care about Kubernetes in the future. Not that it won't be around, but it'll be ubiquitous. Exactly, Joe. Yeah. And I think to some degree that's fair. And I don't want to lean too much into the notion of like, in order to be successful with Kubernetes, your developers shouldn't know it's there. I definitely don't believe that is a universal truth. I think that's just something that fits in a tweet. But I think for some folks, that sentiment is totally something to strive for if that's the right use case for you, depending on your audience, depending on what your customers need. Keep in mind, there's always trade-offs to every freaking decision you make. And I would say that the abstraction spectrum, now that we've coined that term, it has just littered with trade-offs all over the place, But yeah, I think we're trending in that direction of there being less and less onus on direct interaction with Kube and more interaction with some of these abstractions. And as Noel said, being the new OS. Okay, so Rich said, not that Corey said, yeah, it took longer than people thought. Now it's totally fair. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I would say a lot of organizations today unfortunately have a Kubernetes strategy, which might seem weird coming out of my mouth and maybe will get me in trouble. But like what I'm getting at is like, it's not about a Kubernetes strategy. It's about a modern application platform strategy, or however you want to coin it, right? It's like, it's about delivering an insanely good developer experience strategy. And if Kubernetes happens to be one of those building blocks, great. But, you know, it might sound silly to some of us, but genuinely, a lot of folks think Kubernetes is a Heroku. And if they just deploy it, it will change the world without a realization of how it is just a building block and how there are so many steps we have to do on top of that. So, sorry, your comments are just getting me excited and I'm just talking endlessly at this point. Okay. Har, you said, what do you mean by a Kubernetes strategy? What I'm trying to get at, and I'm not trying to make Kubernetes sound bad at all. Just saying, like, organizationally, when an organization thinks about deriving business value, the notion that like a Kubernetes strategy will get you there, in my mind, is just, it's too short-sighted. And this is largely just what all of y'all are saying, just in a bit of a different framing, I think, which is like, your strategy should be about having a really robust platform that enables developers to be successful. In most cases, there's obviously a bunch of cases. And if that's your strategy, perhaps Kubernetes becomes an implementation detail of that strategy. But, you know, and I talk to a lot of customers, like, and, you know, a lot of times I'm supposed to be helping them be successful with Kube, not talking them out of it. But a lot of times it's a bit of a misstep because it's just, again, a poor misconception of what Kubernetes is actually going to solve for you. If you're trying to save cost, hate to break it to you, but implementing Kubernetes and learning it's probably going to cost you more initially, because you're probably going to run Kubernetes side by side with all your other stuff. You're probably going to blow some things up. You know, it's just like, it doesn't play out like this thing where, okay, Kubernetes is up in our organization now and now our problems are solved, which again, I know is probably quite obvious to a lot of y'all, but this notion speaks to things like Waypoint. It speaks to how a lot of these tools are really interesting because it's going to enable us to deliver better experiences to our customers, which as infrastructure people, as DevOps people, oftentimes those folks are developers themselves, right? Cool. And Har, you said, but it makes you robust if you use it efficiently. Yeah, I mean, I hope it's clear that I'm not trying to say Kubernetes is bad. I'm just trying to say it's not the whole picture, it's a piece of the puzzle. Or how do people put it? Joe and others, they say it's a platform for building platforms. Like, I'm just saying that way less elegantly is really all I'm trying to say. Rich said, yeah, I'm one of those folks who thinks devs should be working on their apps to deliver business value and learn the ins and outs and not have to learn. Yeah, same with me, Rich. Like, I'm open to development teams who have, you know, knowledge in Cube, and it might not make sense to like try to fully abstract it and make their life harder, but like, there is a large development audience where if we can just give them a Heroku-like experience, they can focus on business logic and their app just shows up. That's pretty dang valuable. And when you go and you talk and justify your platform initiatives to executive level folks, that's what they care about too, right? Although we could try to tell them how cool the Kubernetes scheduler is. I have a weird feeling they won't be that impressed. All right. And then Nipun, you asked, question Waypoint Dev, can you customize the deploy phase with a specific deploy flow like Spinnaker? And I think, Nipun, I'm going to let them answer, but I think the answer is yeah. I think today you do that with custom plugins. I'm pretty sure that's kind of how it would work. So you could define some plugins, probably abstract some values that you'd be willing to take into your plugin to, you know, further define behavior. And then you would just kind of implement that plugin. So, cool. All right, all. Well, this was really, really awesome. Aside from maybe a little bit too much soapboxing, I learned a lot of cool stuff. I'm pretty impressed with where Waypoint's going, even just as a concept. I think this is a really interesting view on how we can deliver experiences on top of things like Cube, on top of things like Build Pack, and all that good stuff. So if you're still with us, be sure to give a thank you to Evan and Cody and anyone else who's here from Hashicorp. Thank you so much for hanging out, helping get us unstuck. I can guarantee you I never would have figured out that load balancer thing without y'all being in here. So, and great work, Hashicorp team. I hope you keep this up and keep trucking, because this is really, really cool for us to kind of add to our tool belt of options. So that's it for this week. Thanks so much, everyone. I hope you have a killer weekend, and hopefully we'll be back next week with a new fun topic. Maybe we'll rope Joe or someone new into the mix to deliver something. So until next time, all, have a great weekend. Thanks again.